Welcome to Imprint, a podcast about creating a home and life you love. I'm Natalie Walton, an interior designer, stylist, and best-selling author focused on an holistic approach to homes. Each week, I'm sharing insights and interviews about the creative process to help you enhance both your interiors and well-being, as well as provide you with the tools and resources to make considered and sustainable choices with all that you create. Hello everyone, welcome to Imprint. Now, I want to talk to you today about expertise, because the amount of success that you have as a creative business owner is often directly proportional to the amount of credibility that you have within the marketplace. Now, this is not to say that you need to be in business for years and years before you get to see any results, but gaining and showcasing your expertise can start small and compound over time. This is something that I've experienced firsthand, and I wanted to share with you today because it's actually quite powerful and it's something that can easily be overlooked, but it can have a real impact on your business. The more visible that you become and the more credibility you gain, the more that you attract the right people into your world. So how can you do this, in a genuine and authentic way? I really want to talk about becoming an expert in your industry, the importance of this. And I want you to think about if this is something that you should do. Really think about, what are the benefits for you and the impact that this can have in the marketplace. Because expertise is the foundation of trust. When people see you as an expert, they trust your insights, your products, and your services. It's about positioning yourself as someone who deeply understands your craft and can deliver value consistently. Building this kind of authority, it doesn't happen overnight. But when you're intentional, you can become known for your expertise in your industry. And this is really powerful. Expertise is closely tied with reputation. So think about that right now. What is your reputation? What do people say about you? And how can you build a reputation that helps you become known for something? That is really one of the most powerful things you can do for your marketing, for your sales, for your business, for your growth, is to become known for something, especially when you become known as, the person to go to for something. So just think about the times when someone has asked you for a recommendation. I'm doing this all the time with clients. They're asking me to recommend a tiler or a painter or a product. You want to become known as the person who is the expert at something. Just the other day, I recommended the person, Pepin from Royal Plaster, who did the space at Imprint House for me, because he's a really good guy. He does really great work. He's really genuine and authentic. And to have me recommend him to my client, that speaks value, volumes. And that reputation, it will keep getting repeated over and over and over again, because people repeat reputation. If somebody's got a good reputation, they will repeat it over and over, not only, based on their own experience, but on somebody else's experience too. So reputation can relate to a person or a brand or a product. And sometimes we forget just how small the world is, but people talk, people share, and this can really go for or against you. In the interiors industry and, other industries too, such as health and beauty, people really know each other. I mean, I know so many interior designers who are based in San Francisco and in LA and, in different parts of the world. And even though, the world is obviously so vast and there's, probably hundreds of thousands of interior designers out there, it's also incredibly small as well. So when it comes to our own businesses, we want to remember that people talk, and we want people to be saying good things, obviously, about our business. So when that happens, you can grow your influence, you can grow your audience, you can grow your business. So today, I really want to share with you 3 key ways, 3 big ideas to help you establish and expand your expertise. So the first idea is to elevate your expertise. So when you first start in business, you might struggle to think of yourself as an expert. It really depends on the circumstances. Maybe you've just had a lot of experience renovating homes and you become an interior designer to help others with their homes. So that level of expertise, it's coming through, maybe it's not through formal qualifications, but it's through hands-on experience. Now, other times, maybe you're starting out as a photographer and you're building your reputation, you're building your expertise. And maybe right now, you're not the go-to person for interiors or for your specialty or your field. But what I want you to know is that when you show up consistently, when you show up sharing your work, sharing your skills, sharing your knowledge, when you do that on social media or when you're going to events or when you're networking, when you do that by sharing your work for clients, even if you've done that work for free at first, you will start to build your expertise and your reputation. It really is something that compounds over time. So here's a simple formula for you. Expertise is your skills times your experience plus your knowledge versus times your consistency plus credibility. So even simpler, I'll keep it even simpler than that. It's basically your skills and your experience plus your knowledge that you share consistently plus credibility. So let's just quickly break this down. Skills, these are the practical abilities and the talents that you have in your field or specialty. Experience is the time and hands-on experience that you've accumulated, which really helps refine those skills. Knowledge is the theoretical understanding and insights that you've gained through learning and research. And this can also be, we can learn a lot of knowledge on the job as well. Consistency is when we show up regularly, sharing expertise and staying active in your field. And this really helps build recognition. And credibility is the trust and authority that you've earned from others based on proven results, testimonials, and a track record of delivering value. So this formula really highlights that expertise is not just about having skills. It's about applying them consistently, continually learning and building trust over time. So ask yourself, how often do you apply your skills? And are you still learning? How are you still building trust? I'm still learning. I'm always studying. I'm always finding ways to grow and improve. And I always want to be learning. I've said this before, but, I'm a lifelong learner. And that's something that's actually a value of mine. And I was actually telling a friend of mine this afternoon, we were on the soccer fields. I feel like I spent half my life at the moment on the soccer fields. And I was telling her about what I was, some of the things that I did that day. And I had some one-to-ones within Design and Grow. And I was telling her about, the vast range of people who are within the program. And one of them is a woman who's in her 70s, who's so inspiring to me. And, she is still learning and, she's really creating a program that's based on education, like holistic education for children, and really creating this beautiful legacy. And she is, she's got people that she's using remotely from Brazil and other parts of the world. And it's just incredible. The fact that she's always open to learning. Some people say, oh, I don't understand technology. And, you don't have to be perfect at something, but it's about having an openness within your mind, an openness and willingness to learn. That's so important. And so what about credibility? This is obviously based on character. Can people trust you? And can you share and show the results that you've got? Can and do you share testimonials and case studies? Every single time an interior designer shares a photo of their work, they're not just sharing inspirational images. What they are sharing is their expertise. Now, they're not necessarily thinking of it in these terms, but this is basically what's happening. It's a very subtle and kind of often unconscious way of saying like, hey, I did this. I can do this. I created this space. I created this home. And people put their trust in me. That's what happens every time an interior designer shares a photo of their work. It's showing their level of expertise. And this gives them a huge amount of credibility. The same happens with product-based companies when they share their products in people's homes. this is another form of credibility, that somebody has bought their product, and not only that, but they want to share it on their Instagram feed. They've tagged the company and they're sort of saying, hey, this company is legitimate. I trust this company. I value them and they're credible. So how are you sharing your credibility? How are you building trust? And don't forget consistency. Are you showing up consistently? You don't have to post every single day on Instagram, but it is important to show up consistently because this builds credibility. And when you show up on social media, this is how you are sharing your expertise. This builds trust. And you can also elevate your expertise when you get your work featured in magazines, in the press, when your designs or products are published, whether that's online or in a print publication. These are all ways that you can expand your influence and credibility. So step one is really to focus on honing your skills and learning and showing up consistently and sharing your knowledge so you can leverage your reputation to really grow your business. Any investment in developing your skills or your expertise will help you build a reputation that serves you well. All right, idea number 2 is to amplify through collaboration. So I actually did this for years without realizing it. I did this with my blog. I've still got friends and colleagues that I stay in contact with and have stayed in contact with for, 15 years or more. I do this still to this day through this podcast, and I interview people because I'm interested in them and their work, and I want to learn their story, and I love learning from them. But, it has this beautiful byproduct that I've been able to also reach out to people that I've met or I've been in contact through the podcast, and people that I admire within the interiors industry. And, I've been able to include them as part of my recent workshop events. I've done this through my books, not again intentionally as a way to build credibility. I haven't thought, I'm going to do a book to build credibility. And look, there are some people out there who they do it for that reason specifically. For me, creating a book wasn't about that. It wasn't about a marketing tool. It was always about wanting to make a contribution, wanting to put something out into the world that I felt was of value, and to really help people in relation to their homes and really understand the value of our homes and the importance and the role that they play in our lives. So, I didn't do it as a kind of marketing tool. I would never do that, but it has been a beautiful bright byproduct that it has given me, a lot of credibility within the industry, because then I get magazines wanting to do interviews with me. I just had somebody from Italy, a journalist, email me today wanting me to give some quotes. So this happens all the time, and all these little steps, they all help build that credibility. So when someone you respect, for me, I remember being blown away when Maison Hand agreed to be in my book Still, and they're based in France. They do beautiful work, and, that helps build credibility, those connections. And again, when I look back, I can see how this has helped me on my journey. I wasn't going out to create that in a sort of like, a weird sort of way. That's not the right word, but it's just been this beautiful byproduct. And, if you want to harness the power of expertise, consider how you can partner with other professionals in your industry to expand your reach and credibility. Because when others vouch for your expertise or bring you into their circles, this really signals trust and respect. So really go out there and look for some opportunities to collaborate on projects. Or can you be a guest on somebody's podcast? Or can you collaborate on an Instagram post or an Instagram reel? Or, do some kind of joint venture workshop? It's a way to tap into new audiences and establish yourself within a broader network. Again, this was a beautiful byproduct of several collaborations that I've done over the years with my friend Lauren from Salt at Shoal Bay. We did a workshop together. My friend Courtney Adamo with photographer Lean Timms. We did a workshop at my space at Imprint House. And then afterwards, while she was still there, I asked her if we could do a condensed version for my program, the Styling Masterclass. And, that was a beautiful byproduct of that collaboration. So we helped each other, and that's what collaboration can be. It doesn't have to necessarily even be a monetary exchange. Look for ways that you can collaborate with others so that you both benefit. And connecting with the others and, also just seeing how they work, that helps build your knowledge base too. It can help you learn in a completely different way. Certainly when I did the photography workshop with Lean, I learned so much as part of that. And even just the way that she taught and how she ran her workshop, that was beautiful to see. So those types of collaborations, though, they can really help build a lot of trust and credibility. That helps. I became introduced to her audience and she became introduced to my audience as well. Like there's a lot of win-win going on there. So if you partner with someone who is respected in the industry, you can gain respect by association as well. Obviously, this is part of why collaborations on Instagram became so huge, until they didn't. And people could realize that they weren't actually genuine connections, that people were getting paid to collaborate. And so that, when people started to kind of really realize that and it became more and more superficial, that's when trust and credibility actually waned. So it's really important that any type of collaboration is really genuine to have any real benefit, and a benefit for both parties too. So the third step and the third big idea that I wanted to share with you in relation to the power of expertise relates to validating through results. So consider what results you've got in your life that relate to your expertise. There are many people out there calling themselves interior designers, stylists, photographers, business coaches, but what experience do they actually have? If you have experience, make sure that you are sharing it. And I know that imposter syndrome can pop its head up here. So I don't want you to compare yourself to others. I don't want you to start kind of beating yourself up or sort of saying like, but I'm not as experienced as this person. But instead of like focusing on where you feel lacking, I really want you to focus on what you've done and what you've achieved. I actually rarely talk about my achievements and the things I've done, certainly not in conversation. When I meet people, I don't really tell them, which is probably not the best thing sometimes, but I actually don't really tell them anything about myself. I'm, very quiet. I was going to say humble, but I don't think you can be humble and call yourself humble. That's kind of like a contradiction. But I'm very modest, I guess is a better word to describe it. And I actually don't like talking about myself. I'm much more interested in learning about other people. And it's funny because my stepdad, he loves to tell a story, and I know his entire life story. I know pretty much the name of every person he's ever worked with, all the highs and lows of his life, the dramas, all the things. And there's been a lot of things, trust me, because he loves sharing stories. He even tells me stories about other people's stories, so I know people he used to work and what happened to them in relation to them and their family and all of these things. And, even he's one of those people that if he has like a conversation with someone on a plane and then he'll have like their whole life story and they have his whole life story, it's that kind of thing. Whereas I rarely ever do that. I'm kind of much more of an introvert, and I kind of stick my head in, and I just kind of, I'm also really forward looking. So I don't really like to live in the past. I've done really loads of things in my life. I've published 4 books that have been bestsellers. They're still on the Amazon charts. I've met and interviewed people that I admire hugely. I've styled incredible homes all around the world. I've really done so many things that if I give myself a second to actually reflect on it, it kind of blows me away. But most importantly to me, I've done the work that I teach. I've worked, as I said, and even as I said this, I'm like, oh, that's right. I was the deputy editor of Real Living magazine for 5 years. Like, I forget these things, I don't dwell on the past, but it is part of my expertise and my experience and my skills that I have gained over the years, and what gives me credibility, working for 15 years as an interior stylist. That's why I feel that I'm one of the best people placed to actually teach on this. There are people who've got courses about styling and they don't style. How crazy is that? And they're actually making lots of money, which is another story for another day. But I've also worked as a creative professional and business owner for more than 20 years. I've worked in a range of businesses. I've done the work. I'm teaching what I've learned through my own personal experience, not because I've done a course by another coach and I'm teaching their methods. There's a lot of that goes on these days. There's a lot of kind of like multi-level marketing vibes going on in the kind of the coaching world. But, I've got experience in e-commerce. I've got experience working with interior design clients, and in publishing and magazines and book publishing and so much more. This is my differentiator in the marketplace. So, think about what is yours, what is unique to you, because all of that gives me credibility. So what is distinct about you, and be really clear on what that is, because that is your superpower. That is why people will come to you. That is the foundation of your expertise. And so really, again, coming back to this idea of like showcasing real tangible results is one of the strongest ways to establish expertise. When you can point to specific successes, it not only validates your skills, but also builds trust with your audience and, other people's audiences too, because, it can go viral, of course. So really highlight case studies, client testimonials, measurable outcomes from your work, and make sure that you share this across platforms to reinforce your credibility. It's so important that we share what we have done, that we share what we've achieved, and not in a way that is bragging, but really thinking about it in terms of this is sharing my credentials. This is sharing my results. This is sharing what I've got knowledge and experience in. It's kind of like the old school way of like people would hang their, well, there's another thing I've done, like I've got not only a bachelor's degree, I've got a master's in journalism, and in communications. Like, I really have done lots of things, and I really feel very uncomfortable even telling you all of this stuff. But I'm sharing it to say that, people used to hang, some people still do, their degrees on walls. Mine's like tucked away somewhere, goodness knows where. But, really our social media accounts, our websites, that's our way of communicating what we have learned, what we have experienced. It's like our kind of a visual plaque that we're hanging on our social media feed every time we share a testimonial or a case study or some kind of piece of evidence that points to our expertise. So for me, I've been building my expertise through acquiring skills over time and gaining knowledge consistently, alongside, credibility through genuine connections and collaboration. So like I said, remember that your expertise is like your skills plus your knowledge consistently, and adding that credibility piece. So for me, I'm here for the long game. I love what I do. I'm not interested in the latest trend. I want to create quality work, have genuine connections, and grow my business based on solid foundations. I don't want to be tricking people or just moving them through, a sales funnel so that I can say I've earned $1 million. There's a lot of rhetoric about that and activity right now, marketing speak around that. And marketing trends come and go, and it really is a big trend, but your reputation lasts forever. And my reputation is really important to me. I want to be here for the long term because I want to help people for the long term. And to me, that feels in integrity. And you've got to do what feels in integrity for you. But just letting you know that your reputation is powerful. It's a way that you can grow your business in a genuine way and in a way that feels good. So just to quickly recap, we've looked at 3 big ideas in relation to how you can leverage your expertise to grow your business. The first is to elevate your expertise. So really looking at acquiring skills and showing up consistently to increase your visibility, to gain a good reputation that is valued in the marketplace. The second idea is to amplify through collaboration and look at the ways that you can create genuine connections at events, maybe through marketing or networking, I should say, to expand your reach and acquiring more skills, increasing your visibility that way. And the third big idea was to validate through results. So look at the ways that you can validate your expertise by sharing what makes you unique, your point of difference in the marketplace, and share that through testimonials, case studies, and more. So just imagine the impact that being positioned as an expert could have on your business. Look at the ways that you can start embracing this identity today and just apply one idea that I've shared with you today. Can you share a case study? Can you share an Instagram post about what makes you unique? What's your point of difference in the marketplace? I hope that you've found this helpful. I hope that it's really helped you to rethink the importance of your reputation and how you can leverage it through your expertise to grow your business. Like I said, I truly believe that it is something that can have a huge impact on your business. And I would love to hear from you if you found this episode inspiring, helpful, insightful, valuable in some way. So if so, please, and if you haven't done so yet and you're a long-time listener of the podcast, please, I would really appreciate if you could leave a 5-star rating or a review, because it really does help make this podcast possible. There's a lot of time and effort and finance and all of those things that goes into making this podcast. And all I ask in return is that you give a quick tap of the 5-star tap a rating button, or leave, it can be a 2-word review. It's not that hard, but I'd really appreciate it. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to connecting again with you soon. Have a beautiful week. All of the links and info for this episode are at nataliewalton.com/podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so that you can get a direct download of the latest episode. And I really appreciate when you take a minute to rate and review, as well as share the love with someone you know who might benefit from this episode, or on social media. If you'd like to access a range of free resources, come visit my website, nataliewalton.com. Thank you to Jaeger Media for producing this podcast. And I would also like to acknowledge the people of the Bundjalung Nation where it was recorded, and pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. I look forward to connecting again soon. I'm Natalie Walton, and you've been listening to Imprint.